but I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting.
I am as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The last 3 years. Yeah.
I think for me, delving into writing this book and actually writing what I have in there, what I advocate. Thankfully, it wasn't too far away from what I was doing previously. But you when you start writing something, you go, oh God, is this still the best option? And so I went through the whole gut health rabbit hole. I went through the whole anti-inflammatory thing. I went down I just immersed myself in the diet.
I remember watching you study. I mean, for that whole 6 months you were studying.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just totally and utterly confusing. And then you take a bit of a step back, take a breath, and go, okay, hang on. What is actually naturally, or how has nature intended us to be consuming? What is it we're supposed to be consuming? And how often? Irrelevant of going through some sort of the working day and the week and the myths about breakfast is the most important and eggs are bad or good for you or whatever, avocado, you have all these superfoods and all this stuff that's all consuming in these sort of one-liners that the press love to just throw out at people and at the end of the day, scraping away all that chat and chatter, I found that intermittent fasting is the most natural, the most healthy, the most logical way to do things, and it just works. And it just works because of that. It's not about take this supplement for that or this for that. And yeah, you can level up those kinds of things and level down those kinds of things. Totally get it. But we all over consume. I walked into one of the, I won't mention the name, one of the cafes around the corner for some breakfast just now, and it just felt like everything was brown. The whole thing. It was just breads and pastries, and I'm like, and that's fine. You can have it as a one-off, but that's just refined, processed sugar and carb, and you're like, well, how's that going to make me feel right now? So you have to be aware of what you're consuming, how you're consuming it, and when you're consuming it. And you've got to try and break down those kind of myths that you've built up in your head about your behaviors of, it's 3 o'clock, it's my Snickers time. And you're like, why? Because I'm hungry. Yeah, but are you really? Or is it just a crash because of what you ate at lunch or breakfast? And if you can change the way that we traditionally eat food these days, because it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation, by the way. So we're trying to run against the current here a little bit with intermittent fasting. And it's not about starving yourself. It's literally about just not eating when you're not hungry. And realizing, am I hungry or am I hungry? And am I just hungry because I'm used to eating at this period of time? So that's effectively, and there's some fantastic recipes, over 55 recipes in there as well, which are super easy. And actually some of them are super easy. Some of them are a little bit more luxurious. But give it a go and tell me what you think.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like with both our personal kind of coaching clients and things like that, you have to kind of gauge somebody's overall lifestyle. So one person might be might be well suited for a ketogenic diet, one person a bit more paleo. It depends how you time things as well in terms of your nutrient timing. So people say like, what time should I stop eating at night? Or can I have carbohydrates at night? Or should I even have carbohydrates? It all depends. Like if we're going to go into the gym and have a big workout at 10 a.m. in the morning, then maybe you can have those carbohydrates at night.
But, and you know what? That's going to help you sleep as well.
It's going to help you sleep. Yeah, exactly, 100%. So, but then if you're going to have a day where you're just sitting in an office, you don't need that fuel. No. You don't need to go and massively kind of carb up for the morning and then just sit there all day. Yeah. It's just not what you need. So, it's about kind of personalization and making sure that you're eating in a way that there's been some thought process going into it and making sure that it gives you the right level of energy for your lifestyle.
Totally agree.
Yeah. How do you monitor your own health? Because in the industry and things like that, you can work 16-hour days. You can do a 16-hour day and then go somewhere else and have to work. And that's true. That's the nature
you're right. I have had to definitely modify it over the years because of the young kids at home. The whole sleep thing has kind of gone out the window. A nice chunk of time anyway. Kids are getting up at 3 in the morning most nights, or at least one of them does. It's always broken. So I have to manage when my workouts are, because usually if I was to work out, I'd try and do it in the morning. But if I'm so tired in the morning, I generally do it around lunchtime, because I know that if I do that, then that mitigates my dip after my lunch.
Yeah.
So I have lunch, do a bit of rehab work just to prime the body, and then I do my workouts. I've definitely started to eat less breakfasts as I go through. I've realized that my body is totally fine with not having breakfast.
Counterintuitively, I've found, and some of my clients have found, that you actually get stronger. Like you actually work out and you can live.
You've got more energy.
More energy, yeah. Having not had that pre-workout meal.
Well, funnily enough, this is how I look at it: is that if you've eaten something, you're feeling pretty lethargic and whatever afterwards. But if you haven't eaten something, and there's 2 guys on the plains of Africa. One's had a really big breakfast, and the other guy hasn't eaten a thing. Who's going to be sharper to hunt that?
Who's going after it
more? Yeah. And so that whole thing about make sure you have a big breakfast before you go into that really important meeting, you're like, really? Really? So let's just have a think. And that's what the book is about. I'm trying to reframe people about what they generally do, because that's what they're used to or hearing and being said to them. But is that really true? So you want to be sharp? Fine. I wouldn't necessarily eat huge amounts if you are going into a big meeting.
Because we're sitting here in Knightsbridge in our modern environment, going after that pitch, going after that client.
Right.
That's our hunt. That's our personal war, is becoming successful as best you can.
And you don't want to be over caffeinated or you don't want to be hyper and jittery, but you want to be sharp and on it. So anyway, that's for me. That for me answers that question.